Okay, I just downloaded this program on my computer and it was rated good, so we're going to give it a try here. I've been learning JavaScript, and one of the suggestions is that when you're learning JavaScript, you should learn it well enough so that you can teach somebody what you're learning. So we're going to do these 4 exercises that you see on your screen there. We're going to create a new div when the page is created. Number 2, we're going to modify the previous program to include text inside of the div we just created using create text node. And then we're going to modify it again and then modify it again. So I recorded this earlier. I'm still trying to figure out these computer programs. So now I'm doing the voiceover. We're going to create a variable for the div. So we're called it variable new div. You can call it whatever you want, but I chose new div. And we're going to create the element, the div element. So document.create element, and it's a div. So the div is in the parentheses there. So the next thing we do, since we're in JavaScript, we want to put an ID in the HTML side that we can pull over to JavaScript. So I just put the ID on the body tag and called it add here. So now in order to pull it over to this side of the page, we have to create another variable, as we have to various times using JavaScript. And we're going to call it add here. And we have to pull the ID over. So it's document.getElementById. And that's to pull it over from the HTML to the Java side. And the element we're pulling over is the ID we're pulling over is add here. So that goes in the parentheses there. Excuse me. The third thing we have to do is we have to append it. So we take the ID and we append it, and we want it to append it to the new div. So there should be a new div now, so we're going to go check that. We're going to inspect it, and we're going to use the Google developer tools and check, and there's the div. It's just the element itself. There is nothing inside the div because we haven't got to the second part of the assignment. So the second part says modify the previous program to include text inside of the div and generate it using create text node. So the great thing about the instructions, it gives you hints of what you have to do. So as always, we create a variable. For text, we use document.create text node, and this is where the text actually goes in parentheses in the string. So you can type whatever you want in the text there, or whatever needs to be typed in, and then you have to append it as well, as we did before with the add here to the div. But in this case, we're adding text to the div. So new div goes first, append child, the text here. So it's kind of opposite of what we did before. But since the div was already there, we have to append the div. So there's the text. So we're done with the 2 first parts of the assignment. The third part says modify the previous program by adding a class to the div using JavaScript. And it says classes are used for CSS to style the element. So if you want to style the div, if you want to add color or a background or whatever, you have to add a class. So the way to add a class, we don't use a variable. We just, whatever we're adding the style to, we take that variable that already exists, new div, and then when I created the video, I actually made a mistake here. I put new class, and then in the parentheses, you name the class. Whatever you name it, that's what it's going to be in CSS. So because I like humor, I use Godzilla. And do you see my error there? There's a syntactic error. So in CSS, you go to .godzilla, and then you can style it however you want. Color, white, and then background color, something that goes great against white. Yeah, let's just put blue there. And you don't want the blue color to stretch all the way across the screen. So let's just do 25% there. And if everything was syntactically correct, there should be some style now. Save it, and there's no style. So I did something wrong. Let's see if I can figure out what I did wrong here. Oh yeah, there it is. New class. That's incorrect syntactically. When you're adding a class, the correct syntax is class name. Save it, and then refresh it. Now there's style on the div. So I have this kind of zoomed in so you can see it better. That's regular size right there, but let's zoom it back so you can see a little better. It's zoomed to about 300% right there, so you see the blue background with the white color. All right, we've already completed the first 3 parts of the project there. The last one says modify the previous program by creating a new image tag using JavaScript and attaching an image to it using document.set attribute. So this will require a few more lines of code. The first thing we're going to do is same way we created the div element, we're also going to create the image element. So I can actually copy the top and paste it there and just make some minor changes. Instead of div, it's going to be image. And instead of div in parentheses, it'll be img for image. All right, and it's not exactly like creating text. So on this one, we have to set the attribute. So what are we setting the attribute to? We're setting it to the image. So new img, and then there's no variable. It's dot set attribute. And then in my case, I already have a image that I saved in my folder. So I'm going to type in source. You could actually have just put a link to an image there if you didn't have an image. But you can see there's an image of me in there. It's a JPG format. So I'm going to put a comma there, and then I'm going to put the correct path to the image that I have in there. And the name of the image is before.jpg. So I've set the attribute on that, and the last thing I need to do is append it, kind of like we did there with the div. So we're pulling it over the body ID to the Java. So for the top part, you can just paste and change it to new img and save it. Now there should be an image on the page as well. And we refresh it, and sure enough, there's an image of me before I had my coffee and after I had my coffee. So in my household, it's good to have a lot of coffee all the time. So that's it. The whole purpose of this video is to know it well enough to teach it, and that's the goal. And this is me trying to understand it well enough to teach it as I figure out how to use this new program that I downloaded, and it's on the bottom left side.